Sarah?
What's that?
We're live.
I guess that means I can hit OK and I can start. All right. Okay. Well, welcome to the February meeting of the Finance Committee. Happy Valentine's Day to all. First up on the agenda is the adoption of the meeting minutes from the January meeting of the Finance Committee. I think that was January 10th, if I remember. So can I please get a motion to approve those meeting minutes, provided no one has any requested changes to those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you very much, Janice. Thank you, Al. The second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No abstentions, no objections. So the meeting minutes are adopted. So we can go right into the agenda. There are two offerings or transactions on the agenda for today. First up is the CUNY general resolution on revenue bonds, and that will be presented by Matt. So Matt, please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. The Finance Committee is being asked to recommend to the board the authorization for the issuance of up to $300 million of City University System consolidated fifth general resolution revenue bonds for a term of up to 5 years. The proposed bond issue is anticipated to reimburse the state for amounts spent to fund various capital projects for CUNY Senior College. Give a little background on CUNY. CUNY is a nonprofit, primarily non-residential, co-educational public institution of higher learning, established in 1961 by combining existing educational institutions into one university. CUNY currently serves more than 225,000 degree-seeking students each year. CUNY derives its support from state and city appropriations for its program, and the state provides payment for 100% of the CUNY Senior College facilities debt service and 50% of the CUNY Community College facilities debt service. The city supports the remaining 50% of the CUNY Community College facilities debt service. However, as this financing is specifically for CUNY senior colleges, the state will provide payment equal to the full amount of the annual debt service. DASNY's financing history with CUNY dates back to 1965, with numerous bonds issued for both senior colleges and community colleges. However, the only remaining bonds outstanding are the City University System Consolidated Fifth General Resolution Revenue Bonds Series 2005A that have a final maturity of July 1st, 2024. And with the advent of the Personal Income Tax Revenue Bond Program and the Sales Tax Revenue Bond Program, the state has elected to finance its allocable share of CUNY new money projects under these two financing programs. Pursuant to the agreement and lease relating to the Fifth General Resolution, DASNY procures and maintains insurance, which it is reimbursed for, on various properties throughout the City University system, as long as there are bonds outstanding under the Fifth General Resolution. With the Series 2005A bonds maturing on July 1st, 2024, this financing will allow for a longer transition period for stakeholders to consider the future responsibility of procuring and maintaining insurance and related policy matters, as the Series 2024 bonds will also be issued under the Fifth General Resolution. And to conclude, I wanted to go over some of the security features and the ratings. For the programmatic security, these are state appropriations for CUNY senior colleges and state and city appropriations for CUNY community colleges and the City University Construction Fund and the intercept of operating aid to CUNY and per capita aid to the city in the event of non-appropriation by the state or city respectively. But again, as this financing is specifically for CUNY senior colleges, the state will make direct payments to the CUNY University City Construction Fund, the City University Construction Fund, from annual appropriations equal to the full amount of the annual debt service payments. And finally, the expected ratings are AA and AA. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Questions or concerns, first by committee members, then by any of the other board members, if anything?
Mr. Chairman, it's Carney. Let me say that it's actually exciting to have CUNY back at this table. And I'm very pleased that Portia and Matt and your staff have done whatever you needed to do to get them back at this table. That's it.
Thank you, Al. Matt, I just really have sort of, I guess, more of a procedural question related to the insurance and how that sort of works and how, from a DASNY perspective, we confirm that the required insurance is in place, that it protects DASNY, and obviously that we're reimbursed. But more importantly, how do we just confirm that the required insurances are in place, given our role in this transaction, unlike like a PIT or a sales tax transaction? If you could.
You know, that responsibility falls to a department within DASNY. And I can only say that I'm sure they go through the due diligence and the process, and they have procedures to make sure that the proper insurance is in hand.
Okay, I'll just ask that, you know, we just triple check all that, because sometimes these insurance issues, you know, insurance, as Lisa, I'm sure, will agree, insurance is never an issue until it's an issue, and then it becomes a major issue. So just, you know, make sure we have that piece covered. I'm sure our legal staff is on top of it. I've just asked that more because I deal with our own insurance issues every day, and that's sort of at the forefront. Okay, thank you. Are there any other concerns or questions from anyone else? No, well, we're hearing them. By the way, I'll note that I'm also a graduate of New York City Community College. So there's two offerings on today's agenda that sort of relate somewhat to my educational background. So I'm sort of pleased to see that. So, okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to recommend that this offering be approved at the board meeting, which will happen in a few minutes. Is that Janice? Thank you, Janice. Al, do you second that?
Yes, of course, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, Al. Everyone in favor, aye, please. Thank you very much. There's no abstentions, there's no opposition, so that motion carries, and we recommend that it be approved at the full board meeting later on this morning. Second up is NYU Commercial Paper Program. Dave's going to be presenting that, and all I ask Dave is that you, and I know I'm sure you have intended to do so, but just sort of explain, sort of just from an overview, the commercial paper part of this, because it's a little different than what we typically have done with NYU, who, by the way, is a great client and obviously will have my support. But I'm just curious, the commercial paper part of this. Thanks, Dave.
Morning, everyone. The Finance Committee's meeting asked to recommend to the full board the authorization of multiple series of commercial paper notes on behalf of New York University. This will be DASNY's first issuance of commercial paper notes on behalf of NYU. Since the board last authorized CP commercial paper over 20 years ago, I'll provide a little bit of background on commercial paper. Commercial paper notes, or CP notes, are short-term promissory notes, maturities of 270 days or less, that are issued periodically to finance capital projects and often serve as a bridge to long-term financing. CP notes are issued as tax exempt or taxable and are offered to investors in minimum denominations of 100,000. Interest rates are set when each note is issued and are fixed through the note maturity. Once the note matures, it may be paid off or refinanced. CP notes are often rolled or funded with the proceeds of new notes to a new maturity one or more times before ultimately being paid off or refunded with long-term debt. Commercial paper notes can be supported by a liquidity facility from a credit provider or by self-liquidity through for highly rated borrowers to pay amounts due at maturity of the note in the event that refunding notes are often not available. So as far as the transaction that's in front of you today, staff is seeking authorization for the issuance of multiple series of CP notes on behalf of NYU, up to a maximum of $250 million at one time, to finance certain capital projects as described in the financing details of the transaction report. The ability to issue tax-exempt CP notes will benefit NYU in a couple of different ways. First, historically, the university has used its taxable lines of credit as bridge financing to fund capital projects in the first instance, before refinancing at a later date with the issuance of bonds. With the rise in short-term rates recently, CP notes will provide NYU with a tax-exempt alternative to finance ongoing capital projects. Since the notes can be rolled over time, it provides the university with some flexibility in determining if or when to refinance the bonds and lock in long-term rates. Second, the ability to issue CP notes allows the university to move more quickly to access funds when needed and time the note issuance to coincide with runway. So this can be helpful when projects are financed in phases. So for example, there's a couple projects in this financing where NYU will acquire real estate and the renovations will happen over time. So instead of issuing long-term bonds now for the full amount, they can issue CP notes if the costs are incurred and then refinance those notes at a later date with long-term bonds. As I mentioned, these are short-term notes. Each CP note maturity will not exceed 270 days and can be rolled for a period of up to 30 years from the date of the first issuance. The CP notes are expected to be sold publicly from time to time through up to 4 dealers that will be selected by the university. I just want to talk a little bit about the approved projects because it's a little bit different than what we would see for long-term bonds. NYU currently intends to finance various capital projects as described in the finance and details section of the transaction report. As the members are aware, all the projects that are financed through DASNY are subject to an environmental review in accordance with SECRA prior to final board approval of a bond financing. The projects described in the transaction report have all been subject to this review, which is the same process that we would go through for a bond deal. But since commercial paper notes are recycled over time, the projects to be financed by NYU down the road will likely change. So to ensure ongoing compliance with SECR, DASNY board approval will be required for any future note issuance to finance additional projects, with the exception of projects that are previously approved for bond financing or projects that are considered a type 2 under the SECR regs, which I'll sort of loosely define as interior renovations for maintenance type projects. So just to give a basic example, if NYU is going to construct a new building or build a large addition, we would come back to the board for that. But interior renovations and projects like that likely would not. As far as security for the CP notes, it's anticipated that the loan agreement will be a general unsecured obligation of the university. No security interest in any revenues or assets of the university granted to DASNY under the loan agreement. The notes are expected to be assigned a short-term rating of P1 from Moody's and A1 from S&P, which is the highest rating for short-term debt. It's anticipated that the university will act as its own liquidity facility provider to pay the principal and interest on the notes when due at maturity if necessary. And as far as NYU, some financial highlights, I'll just hit on a few of these because I know the board is familiar with NYU. For fall of 23, the university reported total FTE enrollment of over 52,000, which is an increase of 9.3 for 5 years. Despite the impact of the pandemic, demand for the university continued to increase in each fiscal year between fall of 19 and fall of 23. And the university received over 113,000 applications for first-time full-time freshmen, which is the 16th year in a row of record applications. Operating revenues are diverse, with net tuition and fees accounting for just 27% of total revenue. And lastly, total net assets have increased by over $2 billion since 2019, reaching billion at fiscal year in 2023, which is mainly the result of fundraising, positive investment returns, and grant awards. NYU's unrestricted net assets have increased by 48% over 5 years. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the explanation on the commercial paper. I just thought it was important that we sort of understand it's just a little different than what we were doing. I think I fully understand why they're doing it. I just want to make sure that was clear. Are there any other questions or concerns by any of the finance committee meetings or any members or anybody else?
None here, Mr. Chairman.
I just have one, and I'm not aware of any community opposition to any of these projects that are listed in the financing details. But I just want to make sure that we haven't heard of any other type of serious community opposition. I don't think there is any, but I just want to confirm that. Thanks.
No, we are not aware of any opposition to these projects.
Thank you very much. Okay. Unless anyone has any other questions or concerns, I'll ask for a motion to recommend this NYU offering at the full board meeting, which will happen in a couple of seconds.
So moved.
Thank you so much, Jen, and thank you very much, Al, for the second. All in favor, aye. There's no opposed, there's no abstention, so that motion carries. And unless anyone has any questions or concerns for the Finance Committee, and unless I'm missing something, Portia, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn so we can then go into the full board meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you, Janice, for the second. All in favor, aye. Aye, none opposed, no abstentions. That motion carries. Thank you so very much. Once again, happy Valentine's Day, and that'll conclude finance for February. Thanks very